Hello everyone and welcome to another video in the query formula series on Google Sheets. So thus far we have covered all the basic clauses inside the query formula, right from select, where, group by, order by, all the way till label and format. So if you have followed along all the videos in the series, you should be able to use the query formula for basic operations and much more, such as selecting columns, ordering the columns, filtering them, grouping them by, ordering them, renaming columns, and many more. So moving forward, we are now going to look at some other ways of using the query formula for other kinds of uses and other kinds of data wrangling, which can definitely come in your day-to-day work. So in this video, we are going to be looking at something called as a calculated field. Now, what is a calculated field? A calculated field is one where you are creating a calculation out of the existing columns in a given data set. So you're creating a new column and the values of that column is based on a certain mathematical formula of whose the calculation is done inside the table. Like for example, in this table now, which we are looking at, it is a used cars data set. So we have a certain set of cars, their makes, the body, the MMR, and the selling price is also there. So we have these two values over here, MMR and selling price. Okay. If you look at this data set, we can see that there are a bunch of prices, and in some cases the prices have reduced, whereas in some cases the prices have increased. And it's a little difficult to kind of make out where what has happened where. So what I thought was I would try and put a percentage to this. So compared to the selling price, we will look at the percentage of increase or decrease from the MMR value. So imagine if this is the entire table that you have selected using your query, right? You use the query formula, say select star, and you get all the columns. I am going to be adding another column where we are going to be calculating this percentage. So how would that be? So that's going to be this minus this by this. Okay, I have to add a bracket here so that we distinguish the numerator denominator. And you can see that there's a horde of decimals that has come here. Now if you convert this to percentage, and this is what you can see, right? So you can see the increase and the decrease. So in this case, we see that the price has increased by about 3-4%. Here the price has decreased. Here there's a sharp drop, another sharp drop, another sharp drop, and so on and so forth, right? So now it becomes easier to understand which of the rows there is a price decrease and which of the rows there is a price increase. Now I am going to replicate this calculation that you saw here inside a query table, right? And we have already discussed the major difference between adding a calculation or adding something within the query formula versus adding it otherwise, which we saw it in the format one, where if you format it just by selecting the column and coming here and formatting it, that formatting will only apply here, but it won't apply inside the query formula. So if this format was applied here and not in the query formula, and if you change your table and bring this somewhere here, this is going to go back to decimal again because the format does not stick. So in the same way, we are going to be adding this column as part of the table so that they can be used as another column in your query table, and it can be moved and used however you want it to be seen. So let's go ahead and write a query formula first to get the columns that we need. So I'm going to take, let's say, make, model, body, MMR, and selling price. That should be enough. So B, C, E, M, N. So I'm just going to come here, going to write the query. Again, select your data or have it as a named range as I have it. And then I'm going to put my inverted commas and start writing the select. So select, and what are the columns that we have? B, C, E, M, N. So that's going to be B, C, E, M, and N. And we have those columns already over here. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I am going to remove uh, okay, let's keep the MMR column and let's add the percentage column to this table that we have already created. So how are we going to do this? If you look carefully at the query formula, and let me just zoom this a little bit. Yeah, much better. So if you look at this, we have to now add that column inside the query formula. So what we're going to do is we are going to tweak this, and depending on where you want it, you have to add the calculated field in that position, right? So I'm going to add it just after the after column M and column N, and I'm going to write the calculated field. So to write the calculated field, I'm going to put the calculation as selling price minus MMR by selling price, so which is N minus M by N. So N minus M divided by N. So I put the brackets at N minus M so that this is calculated as a single entity divided by this. But in a calculated field inside the query formula, you have to add the entire field as a bracket like this. Okay, so it might look very confusing with many brackets and stuff like that, but it's very easy to understand that this bracket, end bracket, corresponds to this bracket, the first one, and the last bracket corresponds to the overall bracket in the outer circle, right? So this is how we write a calculated field inside the bracket, so that we know that it is a calculated column and not something that exists inside the raw table. Okay, so we have this, and if I now write it, you can see the table, and there is an extra column now with a very different name. So you can see it's written as quotient of difference, which means you're taking the quotient in this case after the division, and you have all these factors added as well. So in this case, I think the format added is a percentage, so that's why it has come in this way. Yes, it's already a percentage, so it has come this way, but we will add a format to this inside the query formula so that we can go back to that concept as well. So now you can see that the column name is a little different, okay, and we want to even fix the formatting. So let's go ahead and do that for both of them. So now we have this column, this entity that you see over here with the brackets and the division. We are going to be using it as that term itself to refer to any part of the query. Okay, so for example, now I want to rename this column. So we are not going to do any where, group by, or order by at this point. So we're just going to go with label. Then you have to specify the column which you want to label. So to specify the column, whatever you have written in your select, you will take the same thing and paste it here. Oops. We're going to paste it here. All right. So you have label this column, and then you write the name of the column. So let's name it as percentage change in price. Okay. And in the same way, if you want to set the formatting, again, format. Oh, sorry, I put it outside the inverted commas. So format. Again, select this. Okay. And then you specify the format. So I want it as percentage. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take it as 0.00 percentage. Close this. And now you can see that the column name has been changed. And we also have a format which you will not see now. I'll probably remove one or two columns and show you how the difference looks. But now we have both things changed for the new column. So we have a new column, we've renamed the new column, and we have even formatted the new column. Right? So now what we're going to do is we are going to modify this a little bit and then do some ordering and filtering, right? So let's say I do not want to see the MMR. I just want to see the selling price and I want to see the change. Okay, so I'll remove the MMR. So MMR column will be column M. Now notice that the change in price column which was here has come here. Okay, and if I check the format of this, you can see that there is a tick against automatic, whereas the format is percentage, and that's because we have set the format for that column inside this new table as percentage. So this is why it becomes important if you know that your table might experience changes, or you want to replicate this query and use it for other kinds of tables, small or big. The format remains intact irrespective of what the format of the column might be. So now we have this intact, we have the name. We can now do some operations. So as it has become easy for us to see which is the price decrease and which is a price increase, so let us do it this way. Let us filter for some kind of a vehicle. What should we filter it for? Let's filter for sedans, because sedans are quite popular. So I'm going to filter this table for body is equal to sedan, price greater than 20,000. Okay, and then we'll see what kind of numbers do we get in column change in price. So where will come after select and before label and format. So I'm just going to bring it here, type where, and then I have to call for E is equal to sedan. Now that all the values are filtered for sedan, we have to add another filter, which is where the price is greater than, let's make it 15,000 because it's a used cars and you want a little lesser value. So let's make it that way, and selling price, which is N, greater than equal to 15,000. Right? So we have shortened the table even more. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to order this table by this change in price. Okay, so we need to see, let's say let us put all the negatives on top and all the way down to positives. Okay, because we want to see where we have seen the biggest drop in the price so that we can buy a car at a much cheaper price in the used cars department. So, and now you can see how the query has changed after all the inclusions. So we included one column, but we have named that column and we have changed the format and we have called it in the same fashion. And we're going to do the same thing even for order by. To order this column, we are going to call that column in the same way. Now order by comes where? It comes after select, after where, and before label and format. So I have finished with my filter statement here, and I'm going to go order by, and once again I'm going to call this column. Now I want this to be in the ascending order because I want the negative values on top and the positive values below. So I don't have to specifically call it as an ascending order or ASC. So I'm just going to press enter. And now you can see that the lowest drop in sedans is a 60% drop for BMW 7 Series. And we are also seeing the selling price here. And we have a bunch of these vehicles. It's going all the way down. We've seen everywhere, right? We are seeing a price decrease in almost everywhere. But now I want to see which are the cars we've just seen a price increase. Okay, so this is fine. You know, we can get like top 5, top 10 cars which have seen a price decrease, and we can probably go for the best brand or whatever. But now let us look at where the price has been an increase. Okay, so I'm going to add that as a filter, and we're going to make this query even more longer. So we have where E is equal to sedan, N is greater than 15,000, and let us reduce this to 10,000. Okay, and I want to see only the positive values of percentage change in price because we want to see where the price is increased. So again, calling this column in this way, and I'm going to call it as greater than, let's make it also equal to 0. Okay, so greater than equal to 0. Okay, a lot of cars with no price changes, so that's why it's a 0. So let's make it just greater than 0. There you go. So now we have seen some increases here, and mostly it's for the top 4 being taken over by Mercedes-Benz, and then we have some other brands coming in here, and we can see the prices, and these are all cars over 10,000, and we are also seeing what the increase in the prices. Now in this case, let us order it in the descending order and see which is the highest increase in price. There you go. So BMW 3 Series 37. So we had a 60% decrease as our lowest value for sedan, and we had a 37% increase as our highest value, right? And in this way you can see which are the models which have seen a price increase and which are the models which have seen a price decrease, right? So just to summarize, we saw the formation of a calculated field, a field which is created by a mathematical operation of two or more columns in the existing raw data, which is what we did with the selling price and the MMR, where we calculated the percentage change in the price, either positive or negative. And after that, what we did was we used the expression inside the query formula, as you can see over here, as the column that we are creating. So it's a new column created, and that does not exist in the raw report. And then we are using that same column, we are referring it as the same column for filtering. Like in this case, we filtered it for greater than 0. We have called it the same way. If you want to order the column, arrange the column in descending or ascending, we have called it the same way. To rename the column, we have called it the same way. To format the column also, we are calling it the same way, right? So as you can see that a calculated field can be very useful to add in all kinds of maths and create different kinds of tables and analysis across. In this case, we do not have a group by kind of a operation that we can use in the context of this data set. But even if you were to use group by, you can use calculated fields to show variances, week over week variances over a particular metric, or some other kind of changes that you can show as new tables. And then you can either show it just as tables or link it to visualizations and the like. Okay, so I hope you can use this. I hope this was helpful, and I will see you in the next video. Please like this video and do consider subscribing to the channel, where we have a lot more data content coming up your way. And I will be continuing this series with some more applications of the query formula like this, which will be fun, interesting, and useful in your day-to-day work. So stay tuned for that, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you.